Hey,
Not working.
everybody. Oh my God. Sorry we're a bit late. It's 10:13, Fads and Trends with Lauren and Johnny. It's a great moment. Lauren, how are you? Okay.
Okay. Anyone who's watching, please tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah, perfect. Tell us who's watching, what's going on, and where you're from and how you are. I'm going to start. Okay, so my name is Johnny. Hello. I am from England, from a place kind of near London, okay, kind of between London and Oxford. And I live in Bologna now. I've been living here for 6-7 months since August. And yeah, that's pretty much me. Lauren, do you want to go?
Sure. So my name is Lauren. I live and work in Bologna at Bologna Due because there's 2 schools. And I'm from the United States, in Vermont. Also, I've been teaching for 2 years now. And yeah, that's kind of about me.
Nice one. Perfect. Yeah, so this is my first webinar, which is kind of exciting. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a video live before on YouTube or Facebook or anything. So it's kind of exciting for me. But yeah, it's going to be great. We're talking about fads and trends today. Yeah. Should we get started, Lauren? Nice one. So today we are looking at discussing fads and trends, vocabulary and comparatives. If you are wondering what is a fad and what is a trend,
sure. I'm sorry. Also, it looks like I'm having some technical difficulties today. Don't know why.
That's okay. That's okay. We can do it. We can get it done.
But so today, fads and trends in this.
Cool. All right. So we have this beautiful picture of this beautiful trio of people here. And and question number one, yeah, do you think the people in the music video are in style? Why or why not? Well, first, let's talk about the clothes themselves, which are kind of crazy. So the guy on the left, we've got what, like kind of beige trousers. We've got a striped jumper and this like blue shirt with a tie at the top. It's kind of horrendous. Second guy, kind of a bad version of the first guy.
And
yeah. And we've got like, stripes, horizontal stripes, green, red, blue jumper and a tie. And he's looking like trying to look pretty confident. And then the third girl is wearing like a woolly hat, like a beanie, and a little jumper thing. So, do you think the people in the music video are in style? Lauren, what would you say? Are they in style or not? Okay, we've lost Lauren. Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna say no.
I don't know. Maybe it depends on where it was taken.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. So I would say, yeah. Obviously, it was probably in style at the time, right? It's a music video. When we think about music videos, this is like the the pinnacle of style in theory, right? So yeah, I would say at the time this was probably pretty cool. Now maybe not so much. Okay. Now, I mean, I don't know if anyone here has visited London before, but in definitely in East London, you might find some like very people wearing older clothes, vintage shops, and things like that. So it could kind of be in style now, maybe in a place like that, in a city that has a underground hippie kind of movement. But yeah, maybe now, not so much. Especially the hair. The hair is not so cool. The guy on the left reminds me a bit of my dad, which is which could be good, could be bad, but I think it's a little out of fashion. The guy in the center, yeah, again, the hair and the mustache combination, not so great. The girl, not terrible. I could imagine a girl, nowadays in this period, maybe wearing something like that. But yeah, overall, I would say not so much. So we can number two. I kind of talked about it already. Like, would they fit in with the style today? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. If I saw these people walking in through the center of Bologna, through Piazza Maggiore, it would be surprising, right? They wouldn't fit in. Okay. And this expression "fit in," if you don't know it, is to essentially like to be a part of a group of people or a particular trend or a particular fashion in a way that you are not conspicuous. Okay. Yeah, so I would say they're probably not going to fit in, these people. But again, if they're in a place that has like a lot of vintage shops or something, or if they're in a place that has I don't know, a very underground movement with clothes and things like that, it could make sense. I don't know. Maybe if you're in like a party in like a very cool young bar, maybe some of these people could fit in. I don't know, maybe. But if they were gonna change, so what would they need to change? 100% they would need to change the hair, the guys. Okay, that's the first thing. The guy on the left, like this style of hair, kind of like combed over to the side. I don't know. I don't think it's so cool. I mean, again, maybe this is more of a 70s picture. I don't know, 60s, 70s. I don't think it's 80s, maybe 70s. Yeah, if anybody watching had a similar style to this, maybe you can tell me what the era was. Okay. Okay. And if they're going to change, so firstly the hair, definitely. This kind of long, unstyled kind of hair is not so popular now, I don't think. And you can see they are clean shaven. right? I think, I think most people, a lot of like a big trend at the moment would be to have a beard. Okay, so I think that could be something that helped them. I mean, the moustache, okay, it could work, but yeah, so maybe bring the beard in. I mean, I've just realized the guy in the middle is wearing a bow tie, right? This kind of tie with the two kind of triangles together like that. So yeah, that's pretty controversial. But I think, yeah, maybe the guys could wear jeans. That could kind of help their cause a little bit. And maybe, yeah, the jumper on the left is just horrendous, isn't it? Really, really terrible. So if that guy on the left, you can see like he has all these different colors. He's got green, yellow, orange, blue, brown. So maybe if that guy on the left coordinated his colors a little bit better, then they could fit in. Okay. Yeah, maybe the guy in the middle, no bow tie for sure. Maybe he could get rid of the bow tie and just have the shirt. Honestly, I actually quite like the jumper of the guy in the middle. I think it's pretty cool. It's got a pretty cool color. I think that would be fine. So the jumper is fine for the guy in the center. Okay. Brown trousers, definitely not. Definitely not. He'd have to wear, if he wanted to fit in now, I think he would have to wear some jeans and like maybe some blue jeans to match the little squares, or maybe some like skinny black jeans. Brown trousers are cool. Lauren says, I'm not convinced. No, never, ever, ever. I mean, for girls, maybe. For girls, it's a different conversation, right? But for guys, I don't know. Look, I've never met a guy who can pull off brown trousers. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, this is a nice phrase to pull off. Okay, we've already seen the phrasal verb to fit in. Okay, but to pull off is to basically wear something, generally like something a bit controversial. Okay, and to actually look cool in it. So if you think the guy in the middle looks cool, for example, you could say, man, he's really pulling off that jumper, right? He looks really good in that jumper. Okay. Yeah. So do I think they could come back in? Question 3. Do you think their fashion could come back into style? Why or why not? Now, I think yes. I'm going to say yes. I mean, we regularly see like certain types of fashion, especially like terrible shirts, terrible jumpers, those things you find in like vintage shops at the back, the really baggy things. Yeah, they always find a way to come back into fashion. Okay. I mean, the more I look at this jumper on the left, the more I think I would I would quite like to buy it. I'd quite like to own this jumper on the left. So that could be cool. Okay. Okay. And number 4, how have women's and men's style changed since the video? Yeah, as I said, I think it's the hair is the big thing. You just don't see a lot of hairstyles like that. So I think that would be the main thing. And yeah, again, probably this it's probably much more formal in this video than we are used to seeing now. So yeah, for me, like that level of formality is not really common now especially among young people, when you go to parties, when you go out, when you go for drinks. So perhaps the level of formality has kind of gone down a little bit. Yeah. In terms of women's style, I mean, this girl, I can't really make a judgment on what she's wearing because she just looks kind of. I mean, she's got the hat looks kind of fine, and the purple shirt jumper looks kind of fine. But yeah, material of the clothes is a good point, Lauren. Like, yeah, nowadays it's going to be a lot more kind of synthetic materials, I suppose. Here we got a lot of wool. there's wool everywhere in this photo. It's kind of a scary amount of wool, especially as it seems like a warm day. So yeah. I mean, look, as I said, the more I look at these guys, the more I'm kind of impressed. I think it's a cool outfit, and maybe I could see myself dressed as this guy in the middle, possibly. Okay, fantastic. Let's go on to the next slide. Okay. All right. So we got some different vocabulary. Okay. And this is going to kind of help us from the previous slide. So on the left we have outdated, to catch on, to fit in, to come back in style, to come back in style. Okay, those two are separate, and on trend. Okay, cool. And again, we got two nice phrasal verbs here, to catch on and to fit in. But let's start with outdated. Okay, I don't know if anybody here has any idea what the definition would be for outdated. On the right, I'm going to read the definitions here. So, very fashionable in the moment, to be socially accepted by others. Okay, popular or fashionable, not modern or current. The return of something from the past that becomes popular again, and to become popular. Okay. So outdated, first of all. Lauren, if you want to click for outdated for me. Let's see what we have. Okay, so outdated, definitely, yeah. Not modern or current. Okay. So when you think about, the brown trousers in the last slide, that kind of thing, that's outdated. It's not current, it's not modern, nothing like that. I think outdated is not necessarily a bad thing, and it doesn't necessarily apply only to fashion, to clothes. You can talk about, if you're talking about maybe different rules in your country or different like government policies, you might say like, oh, it's a really outdated policy or something like that, or it's an outdated rule that we don't follow anymore or something like that. So not necessarily just applying to clothes. Okay. To catch on, another nice phrasal verb. Let's have a look at the definition of to catch on. Nice. So to become popular. Okay. Again, we are talking about these things now in more of a fashion clothes context, but this could be anything. This could be something electronic, right? This could be some kind of application. This could be a game. It could be an idea, even. A popular idea can catch on, right? Really, really nice phrasal verb there to use. Cool. Let's go to fit in. So if you remember from the previous slide, to fit in, to be socially accepted by others. Nice. Again, we're talking about this in more of a fashion context. So like, if I walk around in jeans and a t-shirt, I'm gonna fit in to my society, to my group. Okay, but we often, like, the most common use of this, I would say, is at school. Okay, so when you when you send your children to school, for example, you hope, most people, you hope that they fit in, right? That they have no problem making friends, that they can, people don't see them as an outsider. They find groups of friends, and yeah, so that's kind of one of the most common ways to use fit in. To come back, let's talk about that. I don't think this is not one of the more difficult ones. So to come back, the return of something from the past that becomes popular again. Okay, and we often talk about things coming back into fashion, coming back into fashion. So one example might be like this like hairstyle with that a lot of the guys have. I have it as well when my barber is open. But yeah, so like when it's really, really short here, and it's a bit longer here, this is something that is super, super old. You see it in pictures, of men from the war, right? From World War I and World War II. So this would be an example of something that has come back into fashion. Okay. Next, in style. Nice. So something that's in style, of course, not too difficult. Something that is popular or fashionable. Okay. Yeah. So something that is part of the current fashion, of the current trend, right? Something that is in style. And actually, very colloquially, a lot of people talk about something being in. So not just in style, but people make it even shorter and say like, "Oh, thank you, Lauren. The high and tight haircut. Oh yeah, that's really in at the moment." Okay, which is kind of a short form of this. Lovely. Last one, on trend. So not too difficult, this one. Yeah, very, very fashionable in the moment. Okay. This is a term I wouldn't use very often. And this kind of leads into the last question at the bottom. Something on trend, yeah, for me is a bit more scientific, right? If we're talking more about fashion, or about, particularly appearance, I'd be talking about in or in style. If we're talking more about maybe like electronics applications, I might say something is on trend. And this takes us into our last question. So what is the difference between a fad and a trend? Okay. I don't know if anybody is available to let me know what you think, if you know what the difference is between a fad and a trend. But two really nice words, and two quite similar words, actually. So when we think about a fad, okay, a fad for me has slightly more negative connotations. Okay, so the example I was thinking about earlier was like trap music, like Italian rap, trap music. Okay, so now if I am usually a kind of a younger fan of this music, if I'm a fan of this music, I might say like, oh yeah, this music is great. This music is a trend right now, and this is something that is popular and something that that is cool and current. Okay. However, if maybe I'm a little bit older, not necessarily, but if maybe I'm a little bit older, I prefer kind of, rock music, or I prefer, something like, I don't know, something a bit more classic, I might say, oh, but there's this fad at the moment, which is Italian trap music, right? So from my perspective, as the person who isn't interested in that music, I might say, oh, it's a fad, as in it's. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, it's temporary, right? It's something that it's not going to have a long cultural resonance or significance, right? It's something that's going to end quickly, and it's not a very important trend. Okay, so that's kind of what I think about fad. When I think about a trend, again, this is something a bit more serious, something that for me is a bit more scientific. Okay, we often talk about things like trends in the market. Okay, so things like certain people are buying certain products, a lot of certain products, or less of certain products, or maybe a particular a bit more scientific for me. It could also be applied to fashion, I suppose, or to more of these like cultural ideas. So to summarize, for me, a fad, a bit negative, a bit more temporary, no long-term significance. A trend, a bit more scientific, okay, and something that has a bit more significance, okay. Cool. Let's go onwards. Okay, so we've got some lovely, lovely questions here. Some revealing questions, I hope. So, number one, what would you say is on trend at the moment? Did it catch on fast, or did it slowly become popular? Okay, I was thinking about some of these things before, because it's it's a strange time, right? We don't have this natural evolution of trends, because suddenly we're all at home. Okay, so I was thinking the first thing that is on trend at the moment, and Lauren, feel free to help me out with this if you have any ideas, would be just online applications in general, right? Even my mother is using more and more like technology online, engaging, having drinks with people online, engaging with people online. This is something that everybody is doing, right? Whether that's for work or for social reasons, people playing different games online and things like that. So this is something that's very much on trend at the moment. Yeah, video chats, Lauren, exactly. Yeah. So just a movement of our whole, most of our lives, a lot of our culture and our social engagement with people is online, and that's kind of being reflected in people using applications and things like that, right? So to answer the second question, did it catch on fast, or did it slowly become popular? I mean, of course, these things were popular before, but I would say it has caught on. Nice phrasal verb from the last slide. It has caught on really, really fast, right? Because suddenly we found ourselves at home in quarantine, right? So what can we do? As Lauren said before, they were only for business, and now, almost replacing phone calls. Exactly right. So it's almost replacing any social situation. Meeting someone for a drink has now become online, which is crazy. Another thing I was thinking about was like home exercise, especially things like yoga, because yoga is one of the only things you can do in your house. You don't need a gym. You don't just go outside. You can do this exercise at home. So I thought that would be a really, really important one. Good. I also thought about TikTok, but I don't really understand what it is. I don't know if anybody can help me, or if you can help me, Lauren. But I see this application everywhere. I don't really understand what it is, but I assume it's catching on fast and it's popular. But there we go. Number two, has there been something that has come back into style recently? How did it become popular again? I was thinking I was thinking here about the high and tight haircut we were talking about before. That style of hair that a lot of guys have now, where it's kind of like really, really short here. Another thing I was thinking about was Facebook. Because I think like Facebook is something that was kind of, this is just my perception, okay, but it seemed to be becoming less and less popular, right? And suddenly we are in quarantine, and yeah, we want to reach out to a lot of people, to a lot of our old contacts, and a lot of, I don't know about you guys, a lot of my contacts, older ones, are on Facebook. Okay, so that would be something. Yeah, I think that has kind of come back. And it's a very good point as well. Records and record players, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, and film cameras, absolutely, like the analog technology, right? That we don't necessarily need now. I mean, we've got digital cameras that can do everything for us. We've got Spotify and everything, but people who want to maintain that kind of analog experience, a lot of people are using those technologies, absolutely, and they're also a lot more beautiful to look at, right? A vinyl player, an old style of camera, so that's absolutely right. Number 3, this is a tough one. If you had a friend whose style was outdated, would you tell them? If they asked you if they were in style, what would you say? Right, I've thought about this. Pretty much, it's a no for me. I wouldn't tell them that they're out of style, because who am I? Who am I to decide what is stylish? Because it's a completely subjective idea, right? Somebody being stylish or being cool. Yeah, so I don't think I would want to tell people. I don't think it would be my place to tell people. And who knows? Maybe they could be wearing something that goes on to become cool, right? And then you look kind of stupid because you were the one saying, I don't know, man, it's not so cool, that crazy jacket you're wearing. I can have my opinion, of course, but I can't say to someone, hey, that is not cool. That's an outdated style. Exactly. It's about each person, you know, being an individual. It's an individual expression of what you're wearing, right? There's one exception, I think, to this, perhaps, which would be with my closest friends. Of course, I'm always going to tell them they look stupid, because that's my job, right? As a friend, because we want to have fun and joke around with each other. But in a sincere way, of course, no, I wouldn't want to say that to anyone, and it wouldn't be my place to say that to anyone. I don't know if anybody has another opinion, but that's what I would say. And number 4, what is an example of a trend or fad that you participated in from the past? Are there any trends you hope never come back? Okay. I'm sure we all have participated in many fads and trends from the past. When I was growing up, let me think, there were a lot. We used to wear we used to have a lot of flames on our on our shirts. So especially like at the bottom of the shirt, you would have like a ring of flames. I think there was kind of a skateboarding influence. I hope that doesn't come back, to be honest. That wasn't so cool. There was a period when everybody around me was growing their hair longer, so I decided to grow my hair longer. That was, of course, a disaster, because my hair is completely straight. But it's an interesting example. Like, I think objectively, my my hair was really, really bad. Okay, but you know, it's the power of the influence of the people around you, right? Like, these guys that I really like and respect are following this fad or this trend. So I want to follow it as well to fit in, right? Which takes us back to that phrase before. I want to fit in. I want to be a part of this this cultural cultural movement of growing our hair longer. Butterfly clips and gel sandals. Nice one, Lauren. This is, again, yeah, this is very 90s. I was born in the 90s, so a lot of my references, yeah, come from late 90s, early 2000s. What else? I mean, there was there's a lot of like tight t-shirts around my university time. Like everybody just wanted to wear tighter and tighter clothes, like tighter t-shirts, tighter trousers and stuff like that. A lot of chinos as well. These kind of trousers between like jeans and formal trousers at university. We used to wear a lot of that. None of these are too terrible. I don't think. I would kind of, if they came back, I think personally I would just find it funny because, I would look at it. It would be like a mirror image of my past fads and trends. So I wouldn't really have a problem with it coming back. But yeah, I mean, not anytime soon. Especially the long hair and especially the flames on the shirts. Yeah, it's not so cool. Lauren says, I hope nothing from the 80s comes back. Yeah, I mean, 80s, very experimental period for fashion, right? I feel like if I had been born in the 80s and I were to look back at pictures of myself, I think it would be a big difference to now because the style then was very, very out there, right? All right, fantastic. Let's move it on and let's have a look at some intriguing comparative forms, which I think are coming next. Nice. Okay, so let's just click through and get everything up on the slide. So I'm going to read the example on the right. So yeah, we'll just go back to that. Yeah. So cars today are far safer than when they were first introduced. Okay. So this is a really nice way to make your comparative have a bit more emphasis. Okay. So you could say cars are a lot safer, cars are much safer, but this is a very sophisticated phrase. Cars, they are far safer. Okay. Cool. Next one. Okay. So musical instruments haven't changed much over the years. While they are slightly less bulky, the construction of the instruments is basically the same. Nice. So again, are we talking about a big difference here or a small difference? This is going to be a small difference, slightly less bulky, just a little bit less bulky. And this word bulky might be a new word. So when we think about something bulky, think about a big heavy guitar, right? It's really big. It's kind of hard and heavy and difficult to carry, right? This would be something that's bulky. Okay. Cool. And the next one. Okay. In the 1990s, grunge style was on trend. While it made a short comeback around 2015, the style was not quite as punk inspired as it was in the 90s. Okay. A really, really nice phrase here. So again, you might be familiar with these like as comparatives, like as interesting as funny as, etc. We're kind of just increasing that out. So style is not quite as, so just almost, but not quite, a little bit less, not quite as punk inspired as it was in the 90s. Okay. Perfect. Next one. Yeah, and to the next one. Okay, and this is an interesting one, a really, really nice one. So women's hairstyles are nowhere near as large and complicated as the beehive of the 50s. I'm not so familiar with the beehive, I have to say. Yeah, again, this is kind of the opposite of our last comparative, so not quite as. It's not the opposite, but it's a more extreme version. So nowhere near as. We're talking about a really, really large difference. Okay, So it's not even close. It's nowhere near as complicated as that style. Okay. Cool. Got some really, really nice, more sophisticated comparatives. And we're gonna kind of finish probably by having a look at some of this stuff. Okay. So we're gonna compare the following with the current version using comparatives. So cartoons, cameras, tattoos, movies, books, television. Okay, so when I think about cartoons when I was growing up, I really, really loved cartoons. And the ones I really loved when I was growing up were the more like the hand-drawn cartoons. So things like Scooby-Doo, and the Disney films like Lion King, Mulan, Aladdin. Those things, those were the films that I really, really liked, and the TV shows that I really, really liked. And I would say, in terms of the design, nowadays, I would say it's far more sophisticated, and it requires far more technology to create these films now. So things like Toy Story, Inside Out. There's like those films that are completely constructed on a computer. They require far more technology to create them, right? I would also say though they're not quite as good. They're not quite as good as the old ones, but maybe it's because I'm nostalgic. Okay. Okay, so cameras. So Lawrence says, yeah, cameras are nowhere near as big as cameras of the early 20th century. Absolutely. So when you think about early 20th century, those big, bulky cameras, that you have to put them on the stand, and you have to carry them around like in your arm. So yeah, absolutely, they are nowhere near as big. Yeah, but however, I would say like when you think about a camera from the 60s and 70s, they made really, really beautiful photos. So I would say that perhaps they made the quality of the photos was slightly lower, okay, but they still made really beautiful photos because they had that really grainy kind of aspect to them. Yeah, I'm trying to think of someone with nowhere near as maybe like it was nowhere like nowadays when you think about a camera, like it's nowhere near, we'd say nowhere near as bulky. It's nowhere near as difficult to carry around, right? Tattoos. Now, I'm not an expert at tattoos at all, but yeah, absolutely right. Tattoos are far more accepted now than in the past. In terms of the design, I'm not really sure. They're probably, I think maybe in the past they were nowhere near as intricate and detailed as they are now. So that might be a thing. Let's go to television is an interesting one. Yeah, television is nowhere near as good as reading a book. So we're comparing two. This is nice. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think they're difficult to compare, watching TV and reading a book. I would say that books now are maybe slightly shorter, because I think there's more of a pressure to get it published, to have someone read it in this more like commercial period. So perhaps they are slightly shorter. And I would say that movies for me are not quite as good as they were in the past, just because I think now there's so much technology available. Like at times it's something that can substitute for the quality of the story and the quality of the acting. And there's a good point. Yeah, movies are nowhere near as wordy as in the past, with the exception of, who's that writer? Is it Aaron Sorkin? Is that the name of him? The guy who writes these really, really long scripts. But yeah, I would say, movies perhaps, and they are nowhere near as there are far more cuts in movies nowadays than there were in the past, I would say. Cool. Well, guys, we've arrived at the end of our of our webinar on fads and trends. It was me and Lauren. Lauren was helping me in the background. She had some technical issues, but she helped out a lot. So thank you, Lauren. Thank you, anybody who watched and who will subsequently watch it. Hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, and I will see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.